Hey you guys, what's up? I'm gonna tag some people here. I was inspired by a conversation happening in the women of color group about marriages. So I'm not necessarily doing that conversation yet because I believe that it requires a little more time, energy, effort, all that good stuff. But I do want to talk about what it means to be dating. I don't know that conversation is discussed enough, specifically around the idea that dating has changed. What it means to be dating has changed. And I don't think that's something we readily discuss. I think it's something that people try to figure out as they go along. And then there's a lot of misunderstanding about what's happening in their relationship. So they get how they get. So let's get into it. What does it mean to be dating? Listen, I think it means different things to different people. So for example, when I talk about dating, I mean, you are kind of playing the field, if you will. That doesn't mean that you're specifically seeing one person. So when I reference dating, that means all of your eggs are not in one basket, which I think people tend to do too quickly. Like they too quickly invest in something or someone that is not invested in them. Or they invest in something or someone that may not meet their standards of investment. And by the time that they've done that, they're then resentful for not getting what they wanted or needed out of it, blaming it on the other person when it's really not their job to determine your standards or if they meet them or not. And the whole process of dating, or the point of it, is to determine investment. You know, is it worth my time? Is it worth my effort, energy, love? Is it worth all of those things? Is it worth me investing in that person? And if they're not, why invest? But it's almost like there's this weird thing happening where people don't date anymore. They go out, they meet someone, and they instantaneously determine whether they're going to move forward in a committed relationship or not. How do we get there? I'm not saying there's not love at first sight. I'm not saying there's like not instantaneous connection and all of those things. But that also leads to these very ineffectual, tumultuous relationships where two people are on two different pages, and then they have committed to someone without exploring their options or themselves. So again, what do I mean when I say dating? I mean, dating is just that. Let's allow ourselves to explore, to experience, to share. But we don't have to commit to anything. We're not on a timeline, if you will. Are there times down the line where people are expecting you to make a decision? Sure. But if we're dating, in my definition of that, I'm not making a decision about anything other than we going out or not. We talking or not. Like what is there? What are we making a decision about? When we aren't we. What do you guys think about this whole concept of dating? It has changed. It has changed. I do think this requires a bigger conversation. Absolutely. I just kind of had that on my mind because one of the questions in one of the groups I am in on Facebook was why have marriages changed? Why aren't they lasting like our grandparents? And I really want to get into that. Because I think, again, it requires a bigger conversation. But I just was thinking it starts there. It starts at where we meet these folks, how we meet them, what we do in the meantime, what signs we ignore, what space we ourselves are in, and how that looks moving forward. Because that also determines the people we choose. Do we overlook things? Do we accept things we really shouldn't for our sanity? Are we then accepting like limits and boundaries that we don't intend to experience, but we do? So it just depends on the person. It depends on like the experience. But that is what I am noticing, that people don't know their worth. So they get in these relationships for which may meet them where they are at the time, and then they outgrow them. But instead of acknowledging that you've outgrown something or someone, you want to stay stuck in that space, and you want to force them to move with you. They don't have to. They really don't. They don't have to do anything. You have to determine whether that's worth your continued investment or not. But not punish them for staying. I need to say that out loud. Punishing someone for not meeting our standards, that's not on them. That's on us. When we want you to do something or we need you to do something, it's still your choice. Can it be disappointing? Can it be hurtful? Can it be all those things? Sure. But it's our standards. If you don't like them, or if they're not working for you, change them. If it's not the changing of the standards that needs to happen, it's the person, then change that. But just putting yourself in this position where you go into a date making them your husband or your wife or whoever, that's dangerous. You're putting a lot of pressure on the person that you're dating. You're putting a lot of pressure on the person that you're dating. That's undue. You don't owe each other anything. If you are on a timeline, then that would be safe to acknowledge. That would be necessary to acknowledge. But that also can put you in a space of desperation. So I'll leave that at a period. So we're not functioning in that dating space as if it is a committed relationship space. When I am dating you, there are boundaries to that, right? There are different boundaries when we are in a committed relationship. There are different boundaries when we are in a long-term committed relationship, and there are separate boundaries for when we are married, right? All these things require different expectations. They all require different expectations. Please, make sure that when you're dating, the expectation is just that. You're not looking for your husband or wife or polyamorous partner in that first date. That is a lot of pressure on yourself and on them. Go into it with an open mind, and the idea being, I am searching or looking or going to experience something. If this experience connects with me, then we may be able to move forward. If there are I wish I had read something. If there are red flags, don't ignore them. If this person, for example, and I'm going to use the big trigger ones. These are triggers. If you want to have kids and they say, nah, I don't want to have kids. Flag on the play, red, whatever. Don't ignore what is right in front of you. Let me just say this, and I need to say this because I've been there as a woman, as a person, where you think you can convince someone by being so wonderful that they're going to do something different for you than they would do, period. Or they're telling you they're going to do. Please don't do that to yourself. It's disappointing. It's humiliating. It's demoral. It can be a lot of things. It can just put you in a place of feeling unworthy and like a failure and all these things. Don't do that to yourself. If they are telling you that your deal breakers they are not willing to do or they do not want to do, baby, walk away. Please do yourself a favor and walk away. Because here again, you're going to put yourself in a position to be disappointed, angry, frustrated, then trying to make them into the person you want them to be when they told you that's not who they were from the beginning. Oh, they told you that. Just listen to them. Let them talk. A dating experience is supposed to be an exchange, not a one-way conversation. When they tell you, listen, adhere. If you say, I want to, let's see, for example, if you're someone who says, I want to explore outside the relationship, I want a committed relationship, but I kind of want to have someone on the side. Okay. If the person is telling you it's a no-go, listen, adhere to that. If this person is telling you that I struggle with monogamy, I struggle with being faithful to one person, and that is something you require, do further exploration. I'm not saying that may be like a complete be all end all. But if they are still struggling, why? There is no person on this earth that can change some things that are nature, okay, or learned. The person has to change it themselves. They have to be willing. And again, I know we can say, oh, this person will sell me a dream. They will sell me this. They will sell me that. You can only fake it for so long. And let's be clear. There are signs. Pay attention. Their effort, their consistency, their persistence. What I have found too is there is a lot of men, and I'm not picking on you. Please comment if you'd like. There are men who are conditioned at this point to sit back and let the female do the work, because that is now the social standard. Men are not challenged to do the work. We expect that they will, but then we do it for them. What message does that send? Not so much that they have to work for it. Not that they have to be persistent or consistent. None of that. Let them do the work. It's not going to hurt you to call me first. It's not going to hurt you to text me good morning. It's not going to hurt you to do that. If you're interested, you'll do it. And if you're not, you won't. Simple as that. But I'm going to say this too. And this is also something I've been like really talking to just folks about, is educating people on your expectations. Sometimes people just don't give you what you need because they don't know either how, or they haven't been expected to do it before. So if that is the case, just simply say what you need, right? Hey, my expectation is this. I do expect that you initiate conversation. I do expect that, you communicate well if we're not going to meet, or if we just say that. Just say that. So at least they're not guesstimating what your needs are. Because I think that we do expect that people just know things, and they don't. They really, really don't. Dating, expectations around dating, social interaction, all of those things are so complex for a lot of people, and we think they have skills that they don't have. So when you go into, okay, I want to date, I want to share, I want to get to know someone, don't expect that they know what you need. Don't expect that they know how you expect them to behave, because they don't. Right? So, for example, if I'm someone who goes into things and I let the guy kind of pursue me, which I'm not that kind of person. I also like to pursue a little, but he doesn't, and then I don't understand why he doesn't. I may need to ask, or I'll give you another example. Let's say we have a date, and when we go on the date, before we go on this date, we don't talk about who's paying, are we going Dutch, anything like that. We just go on a date, and then we both sitting there when the check comes. We should have had this conversation. Is it a given? We think so, but it's really not. That is, and you're absolutely right, Christina. The expectation is, if I want something from you, I need to ask for it. Can we just expect that people know things? I think that's unreasonable, and I think it sets them up for failure. What do I know? Hold on, I want to read what Christina said. Yes. I say all the time, you can't hold me to expectations you have not set. This is paramount, and we can't expect partners to be mind readers. Yes, that's why that communication piece has got to be strong from the beginning. We're going on a date. Okay, well, what are we doing? Are we going Dutch? Are you paying or I'm paying? What are we doing? What is the expectation for this date? Do you expect sex afterwards? What are we talking about? What are we doing? Because I want to let you know up front, what I'm doing, what I'm willing to give. So we're both satisfied and understood at the end of the day. Maybe we may leave some space for what ifs, or if we are in the kind of mood or whatever. But don't set yourselves up for failure. A lot of partners require more than they are willing to reciprocate initially. Agreed. But as long as you understand that, as long as you know that, you can make a decision. So I want to make talk about your point, CJ, of partners requiring more than they are willing to reciprocate. As a man should assume he's paying. If you offer, that's a different thing. Andrew, let me just say something to that. There are a lot of women out here, and I don't want to say this word. I'm going to say it for the sake of the conversation. There are a lot of women tricking for the idea of commitment and marriage, period. And I mean tricking in like the most basic form is like, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say what I think you want to hear, and I'm going to do whatever I think is going to get you, period. I would like that men understood that, that is the expectation. That was the expectation for me. But there's also, and I want to say this too, there is also this concept of women who are like successful, that I don't want you to get the idea that I need you. That's a total fuck up, first of all. Because you pay for dinner, that doesn't mean I need you. Okay. But there is also this like whole self-sufficient, I'm independent and against the rest of the world. I don't need anybody to support me. I don't need your ass. No, you don't need them. But a man also wants to feel like a man in a relationship, right? There is an ego tied to that. There is a nurture experience tied to them being able to feel like an equal and or the man in the relationship, or the provider. So that if the message you send from the beginning is that I don't need your ass, well, why am I here? Why are we even on a date? What is the fucking purpose? Like, real talk. Let's just get straight to the shit. Like, why are we doing this? So you need me to have sex with you. You need me to produce sperm for a child, but you don't even need me to be a man. Is that what you're saying? I just want to throw that out there. But, so yes, whoever initiates the date should assume they're paying. I'm going to say this, and I'm going for this. Don't assume anything. Go into it asking questions. Be curious about people. Don't assume that you know them already. Ask the question. So we're going on this date. What does that mean? Am I paying or are you paying? Let's talk about it. Like, I would prefer that you pay. That is my expectation. However, what is your expectation of what's about to happen? Like, because the whole talking thing, what the hell are you talking about ahead of time? Those are the things you're not talking about. Ooh, I could do a whole conversation around this and how toxic it can be to individuals and their relationships. Yes, because listen, check this out. How you start is how you finish. Facts. How you start is how you finish. Unless something dramatic changes in between time, how you start determines the direction of that relationship. Period. Excuse me. I'm a therapist. Of course, I believe in change. I believe in room for growth. But that's not everybody's story. And the bottom line is how I started this. I may grow in between time, but that doesn't mean I'm going to change the foundation of who I am, or I'm going to be clear about what your expectations are moving forward. Right? So start how you want to finish. Start in the direction for which you want your journey to go. Don't try to figure it out in the meantime and then get pissed off with them because they can't figure it out. Right? Like, but yeah, I want to do more talks about successful relationships, about dating, because it's necessary. I think the whole art of dating and like courting and like getting to know people is so lost, that socializing is lost. The ability for people to be vulnerable and kind of express what they need and what they want is lost. People getting caught up in relationships on the idea of it, not the person, which is your jam. You do whatever you want to do, but usually it leads to resentment, anger, frustration. It can lead to abuse, right? It can lead to a lot of things. We talked for literally 8 hours. He ended up ordering twice, LOL, but that ability to communicate has saved us every time it's gotten hard. Facts. So this is, I actually want to give a really good example. My husband and I, my partner, we talk very clearly about things that can be really hard sometimes when you are having very difficult conversations about things. It can be hurtful. It can be traumatic even sometimes. When you're having conversations that require a level of vulnerability that can be hurtful, painful, right? However, it puts you in a position of power and control, right? It puts you in a position of allowing yourself to give all you have and then being able to deal with what you get in return. Versus, I'm not saying everything. So one, I don't know what you know. I don't know what you think. We're not having a clear, open dialogue about what is happening here. So I'm just going to wait for something to happen and then we'll see. We'll go from there. I don't have time for that. I really don't. I don't have time for that. But the other part of that is like, you want your person to feel prepared to be with you. You want to prepare them. And you do that by being open and honest with them. And I'm not saying that it's easy. Y'all, please forgive this haircut. My hair is so shady. My too. He cut my hair and we just tried our best. I'm so scared to go get my hair cut by my barber. I don't trust him that much. Anyway, be honest. You both deserve it. Whether it be in a 2-person relationship, 3, 4, 5, whatever your setup is, be open. You deserve that. They deserve that. And it allows you to have a level of clarity that can determine what's going to happen moving forward. It makes things a lot easier when you feel like you're not in the dark. So just to kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm gonna do some more about thanks. Thanks. Listen, these times are rough. This line is rough. Like, bruh. But I look at these. Girl, oh, it's shady. But yeah, we're gonna talk more about this. And as a matter of fact, I want to do a live where it'll be more than one person, and I'm gonna do some panel talks moving forward in the next hopefully couple of weeks. So y'all look out for that. I'm just trying to find some panel members. So if you're open to that, please let me know. We're going to do it virtually so you guys can be a part of that. But I think one of the most important building blocks to rebuilding our community is to have a community and to have a space where we can talk honestly with each other, building relationships by educating people on what that means. So I do want to invest a lot of time and energy and money into that. And I love the idea that we can impact people all over the world by just doing something like this. That's really cool to me. And there's so many really beautiful, important, knowledgeable people just with y'all here on the live. So I will definitely reach out if you're interested, but I want to have more of these talks because I think it's important for males and females alike. And I think that also starts with self-esteem. A lot of us don't believe in our worth. So we allow people that are, let me choose my words. We allow people who don't know their worth either to be in relationships with us and then continue to validate the idea that we aren't worthy. I hope I said that in a way that makes sense to everybody. But it's like meeting somebody where you are. But it's not healthy because you're not healthy. And then you expect something different when you're not different. I can't. And even with understanding that as a person I've been married now for 8 years, it's rough, man. Marriage is rough, bruh. I didn't never want to be married. I never wanted to be married. I never said, oh my God, when I grow up, I just want to be married. No, I did not want to be married. I did not want children. I just wanted to be me, have a long-term relationship where we're doing our thing. And then we go do what we're doing. We're doing it. That's what I wanted. So now that I am in a marriage and have been for 8 years, I had to change the way that I behave. I was naive. And I think about like just the 19-year-old me, the 25-year-old me. I was naive. I was vulnerable in a very unhealthy way. I didn't know who I was or my worth. I didn't understand the worth of my partner. I didn't understand what it meant to be an African American man and what that meant to him committing to me. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand my value as not just a person but a woman and what that meant about agreeing to have a child, because that's a lot, especially when that's not something I wanted. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. However, it was a huge adjustment. Having a child or becoming I don't like the word, but I'm going to use it for the sake of this conversation, a step parent. So becoming a parent of a child that's not mine, that's a big deal. All the dynamics that go into that. We're going to talk about that too. Meshing families that are not families, right? Creating a mixed family out of people who don't know each other. How do you do that? Because it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of pressure, especially when children are involved. Let's get to that. But consider all of these things when you are dating, and let it just be that. Enjoy it for the experience. Allow yourself to be open to experience people, and not create situations where you funnel them into something. Let them be whatever they are. And then you make a decision from there. Please try not to go into it, I'm just going to be blunt, having sex, fucking and sucking, and then think something's about to come out of it. Come on. Sometimes very little it does, but let's be clear, man. Like, you're setting the standard. That is the standard. You're setting that standard. So determine what that's going to be. Does that mean having to hold out sometimes? Yeah. Your worth is not determined by your vagina or your penis. So, because even after you have sex, then what? Okay. So you had sex, now what? What happens after that? Like, and then how do you bounce back from that? If you have sex on the first date, how do you bounce back? This is what I think about it. Think about like going to see a sequel, right? You saw the first one, they came out with a sequel. How do you beat that? You don't. There are very rare times when the sequel is better, like Endgame or something. Like, you can't top it. Like, it is supposed to be a build-up, right? Not a let's get to the shit and then you're done. Like, first of all, you're worth more than that. Second off, people out here is nasty as hell. Thirdly, you need to know who and what you're dealing with. And when you let them in your body, you let them into your spirit, into your energy. So be clear about that. Like, they may talk a good game. They may look wonderful. They may be all of those things. But they may not be what you deserve and the type or valuable individual that deserves to be in your space, in your energy, in your spirit. They may not deserve all that. They may just deserve a good movie or a dinner or a laugh or two. Thanks. Like, period. But, yeah, I want to have more open conversations about dating. I want us to feel free enough to kind of talk through our struggles so we can support people on their dating journey and moving forward. I mean, I think that's our duty to each other. It's us loving each other enough to share information and being vulnerable enough when we have questions about things or when we're doing something that doesn't appear to produce what we're looking for. I really want to do that. I want us to allow ourselves to be open, because I want to say this too. There are some open relationships happening, but people are too fearful of judgment to be honest about those. And I get it. But open relationships, that's your jam. Do what you do, boo. Do what you do. If it works, this is what I will say. And I'm going to close with this. If it works for you, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work for anybody else. If you and the person or persons with an S you are in a relationship with, if what you're doing is working for y'all, then it's working. You don't need the validation from anybody else to determine whether it's working or not. If y'all are in a multi-person relationship and it works, it works. If you guys are in an open marriage and it works, it works. If you guys have or sleep in separate rooms, if it works, it works. If you guys live at separate homes, if it works, it works. You do not need validation to determine the value or the setup of your relationship. We're not in those kind of times anymore. You determine what your relationship should look like with your partner and leave it at that. And everybody doesn't always need to know what the hell you're doing. One, because it's none of their business. But two, they may not understand. So then you'll get this unnecessary back and forth that really is not necessary. It doesn't matter what they think. But yeah. So we're going to come back with some more dating talk. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love y'all so much. Let me know if you have any more topics you want to talk about. I try to use a few minutes after my sessions. But it's almost, I know my intern is done and might maybe ready for me. So it's a little while after, but I just want to tell y'all, thank y'all. Love you guys. Appreciate you. I'll be back live with you hopefully this week. Peace.